welcome to Luxury Legends and Leaders. I'm Carrie Zier, VP of eXp Luxury, and it is my privilege to be here with all of you today as we dive into an amazing topic of building your business, not in only one city, but multiple cities. But before we dive into the wins and the global expansion stories, let's be real. How hard is it in our business to scale a true real estate luxury business? Obviously, it's no small feat. So it takes grit, it takes sacrifice, a whole lot of vision, and definitely 100% persistence. So first, let's honor that journey. And that's where we will begin with starting from one city, how to make it big, and then take those tools to really go to the next level. We have an all-star lineup today. It is my privilege to introduce them. So come on up, ladies. We have Leigh Smith. Leigh is coming from Australia live right now, and I believe it is 1 a.m. in the morning there. So let's give her some love from the audience of coming in on our U.S. crazy times while she's up at 1 a.m. So thank you, Leigh. And then we have our amazing Jana Caudill, who is one of our luxury council, a dear friend, a powerhouse here in the United States, and has built her business in 2 states. And I always learn so much from you, Jana. I think you were just born selling real estate and talking about it at the same time. So welcome, ladies. If you want to say a couple words of introduction as well, and then we'll just dive into building our businesses in one city and then taking them across state lines. Leigh, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, it's good to be here.
Yes. So how is it? Tell us a little bit about your market in Australia. And I know you are now an ambassador for eXp Luxury. So we're so proud to have you. You represent Australia and New Zealand. So just tell us a little bit about your market and what part of Australia you're actually in.
Okay, I am in Western Australia. So on the West States, it's the biggest state in terms of land mass, not population. And I am an hour south of Perth, which is the main capital city of Western Australia. We pretty much are surrounded by water here. So whether it's one side, we've got the estuary, the other side, we've got the ocean. So we have a big waterfront lifestyle and a mix, a range of homes from, anything right across, from luxury down to your very basic home to acreage. So we have really a good selection of homes.
Yes, I love it. Well, again, welcome. And Jana, tell us, I know I love your stories. I love how hard you worked in building really an incredible teams in 2 states. And so tell us a little bit about that. And then we're going to dive into more of the beginnings of both of you in real estate and really how you have scaled your businesses.
Okay, excellent. Well, first of all, it's 1 a.m. for Leigh. So I said she has her jammies right next to her. So the moment she's done with this,
yes.
So kudos to you for being a part of this. It's 1 p.m. for me right now. So thank you, everyone. My name is Jana Caudill. And like Carrie said, I am one of the Luxury Advisory Council members. So I'm super proud of that. We've built this entire eXp Luxury division. Our group. So we're super proud. It's like our baby. I am a Nana, so I'm the grandma of the group. I think I'm the oldest in the group too. But I'm approaching 29 years in real estate. And I am from Northwest Indiana. I started my career there. I knew absolutely no one. I didn't live there, go to school there or anything. My husband transplanted me there with his job. And so when I started my career, I started from scratch. So super proud of what I built there. That team still exists to this day. And we are #1 in our board. 25 of the 28 years running. So we're proud of what we've built there. And I'll get into more, like you said, the pains of that and what that took to even build it, let alone leverage myself out to be able then to move on. I'm currently in Naples, Florida. So I serve the Southwest Florida areas, which is like Marco Island, Naples, Bonita Springs, Fort Myers. So I have a small team that has now developed here, and I do spend majority of my time in Naples. And my Indiana team is fully leveraged. I lead them from afar. So, but both are super important to me, and I can give tips and pointers on how I did it, how I exited out of the one and leveraged myself out, and then built the second one. And now how I'm building them both together under an umbrella of eXp Luxury. And we'll go from there. So
I love it. Well, I love to get personal on these questions because so many of us have been in real estate, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, or 25, 30 years, but the pains are very similar to, and one of my biggest things I've always said, and I still preach on, is without that pain, there is no growth. And a lot of our pains, though, lead to different times in our life, and that causes that why, that big why in our lives that say, I'm going to push this a little harder and expand in whatever ways that looks like. So for both of you, like, let's go back to the beginning, to those early days of you're starting your team, because we get a lot of questions of, am I ready to expand? I'm ready now. And I think if you don't have a great foundation in the city that you are, basically positioned in, it is hard to go. Although I am number one, always champion people to expand, at the same time doing it in the correct way. So let's go back to your beginnings. Starting out on your, tell us some of those for those that are maybe new to real estate. How did you begin and really getting to the level you are now? Leigh, you're an ambassador for eXp Luxury. Jana, you're luxury counsel. You have both accomplished a lot within luxury real estate, but how did you begin and how did that scale in your local city? And I know, Leigh, you did start maybe in the UK. So if you want to, or you have sold there. So if you want to touch on that too.
Okay. My real estate started here in Western Australia. So for me, the beginning was just having to get stuck right in because I'd immigrated from the UK. So I immigrated from the UK in 2005, and in 2006, I did my real estate license and started that journey. So I started in a place that I knew nobody. So I had no network as such. Usually when you start out in real estate, you sort of reach out to family, friends, people you went to school with, college, ex-work colleagues or things like that. So I really had to think out of the box and just get out there, network, be very creative in how I went about trying to find leads and meet people and network. So that was my journey, and it wasn't easy, but I was relentless and just was all in and just went for that. And so that's where I started my real estate. And again, I went in the middle of it, sort of in 2016, I went back to the UK due to husband's work commitments and things like that. So I went back and because I'd had all the real estate experience here, I went there. And obviously, that's a very different market, worked very differently. So I was running a branch for a company. And spent 4 years there, and then COVID hit, and so we came back to Australia because we were told we have to come back, and so came back and started a refresh and just picked up. And by then, obviously, this time around, although it was a cold start, I was known. And so as soon as I came back and put the ads in the paper and things, and people were like, "Oh, you're back," and reached out, and my network just went again from the name that I built up. So, so it takes a long time to establish that brand and that thing. But once, if you do it right and you do it well, and, and you always have that servant sort of leadership, you will always be remembered and people will come back to you.
Well, that is awesome. And I love the story. The 2 words I wrote down is relentless. For you to go to a new, you have to be relentless, correct? But then necessity, and maybe that's the why. I know in my life, many times necessity was one thing that was the big why that drove me. And then, of course, going to a new town, if that is what your profession is, that is one of those driving factors. So thank you for sharing that. Jana, Indiana, how did we get going in Indiana?
Well, first of all, I'm born and raised, so there was no moving me out of there, I guess. I tried, but no, I showed up, like I said, my husband took a job, so we showed up in a brand new town, and I wanted a career change. So when I dove into real estate, I knew that I wanted to do it well, and I knew no one, but I was like bound and determined. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it the best. I basically I looked at my local market. No one was really doing it at a super high level. And definitely the teams were not even known at that time. So I wanted to set it up from a business from day one. So list to last was my motto. Like I knew that I had heard, luckily I heard that great advice that you had to have listings in order to build that brand and your solid business. So I set out to, go after listings. And so it was just me in the beginning. I knew that I needed administrative help. I did not want to be in the office. I had jobs in my 30s. I started in real estate when I was 30. So my 20s, I worked all the jobs and had to report in. I wanted freedom. I wanted to be at the kitchen table. I wanted to have a buyer in my car. So I quickly, within that first year, got administrative help, so that they could help me with the closings. Because if you don't have an admin, you are the admin. And, that's just, it was very obvious to me that I did better when I was at that kitchen table. So, and because then I could put listings in the yard and whatnot. So I think from the start is just making sure you have that business. I was a Keller Williams girl. So I followed the MREA book. That had just come out when I was a baby agent, and I didn't know that it wasn't a real agent. It was basically the best of the best of the best, and they put everything in that book. But I took it to heart, and so I learned leads, listings, leverage. Leadership was not a part of that book, but I'm going to say that the 4th L is leadership. And so I actually am fortunate. I have a leadership degree from Purdue University. So that and having a HR background, that all came into play as I'm growing a team and building a team. I just knew I needed people to do things I didn't want to do. And I also knew that I could only I'm a service girl. I have high standards. If you're going to do something, you do it well. And I couldn't be in all places and all things to all people. So I quickly hired people to take the place of what I didn't want to do or I wasn't good at. I didn't want to be in the office. So I would hire certain things out or have my administrative person handle that for me so that I could go do what I did best. And then it just kept growing from there. We kept getting busier and busier and busier. Usually every time I hired someone, it took my business or my gross commission income to a whole new level. So I was able to just leverage myself out. I don't know that I had a path to follow. I had watched what others did wrong. So I kind of learned what not to do from a lot of team leads and saw that I had to have certain things in place. I never had even remotely thought about opening in another area or another state. I was all focused on, raising my children, building my business. I did own a brokerage at that time as well. So I had a lot of things going. So all the more reason I needed to be leveraged and then hire really good people to do their jobs. And so that, I think having an HR background is important. And if you don't have an HR background, somebody on your team needs to, because that is the key component.
I love what you said about the admin help, and I totally agree with that. So many agents ask, do I hire a buyer's agent first or an admin? And my answer has always been an admin too. I mean, granted, it does depend on your setup, but absolutely, I love everything you said. And I think MREA at that point of our lives. That was our AI back then, correct?
Oh,
In moving
absolutely.
our real estate book.
Absolutely.
We also
Admin for sure. You never want, I mean, I've watched a lot of team leads make huge mistakes, and that would be one of the top mistakes is they just grab sales agents and they don't have that foundation in place. That'd be like building a house and not having the solid foundation. So that would be one of the key things. If I had a top 10 list of what not to do, it would be on there for sure.
Well, we have our third special guest coming in, and we're all going to continue talking, Leigh, Jana, and we do have the famous Pete Knows Luxury, Pete Middleton, who has built an amazing career, not only in San Diego, but he has come to my hometown and outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and Franklin, Tennessee. So, Pete, we couldn't have had this show without you. Thank you I know you're busy, for tuning in. I love what you have built. I got to personally go out to San Diego with Pete and see his amazing, when I say amazing, EXP luxury office downtown La Jolla is fabulous. So welcome. And if you will, Pete, we're talking just the challenges of growing these two teams in different across state lines, but also we want to go back to the beginnings of how did you build such an extraordinary business in San Diego?
Well, first off, thanks for having me, you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm grateful to be here. I have limited time because I'm out in San Diego right now, and today we have Caravan Day, so I'm going to see some pretty high-end luxury real estate. But my journey began back in Brockton, Massachusetts, which is a city 20 miles south of Boston. And my mother and father were in real estate. My aunt and uncle were in real estate. So I was kind of born into real estate. And I had been going to the office since I was 7 years old and helping out around the office. And, one day I decided I didn't want to sell houses for the price range that city provided. And the average price range at that time was $93,000. And it was a lot of work and it was very grindy. So I'm sure there's a lot of people on this Zoom who are looking at it saying, okay, how do I get to that next level? And what I decided to do is I left the family business and I moved to San Diego and started from scratch. And I was with Remax for 9 years. I was with Keller Williams for 4 years. And then I started my own brokerage, which I sold to Realogy in 2014. And then I was with Coldwell Banker Global Luxury till 2019. And then I joined EXP and we started EXP Luxury, which is going great. So that's kind of my journey. I moved my family out to Nashville, Tennessee in 2022, right after the pandemic. And I started a team there around 15 months ago. And that's a smaller team. I have a bigger team in La Jolla. I have a team of 10 out here. At one point, I had a team almost as many as 51. I think that was my peak. But typically, my teams have been between 10 and 25 agents. And the team in Nashville, close to Franklin, is 4 people right now. And I'm going to keep that one tight, kind of like a SEAL Team 6 in Nashville. And it may even come down to a SEAL Team 6 in La Jolla and San Diego. So that's very important to look at your market. Every market has luxury somewhere. You just have to identify it. You have to brand to it and you have to go after it. Those are the big things, guys.
I love it. And everybody that I feel like we've talked to, you guys out there, a lot of what happens when we are building these teams is necessity. Leigh, when you moved back to the UK, there was a necessity to go out and make it. When I moved to Nashville, I knew no one. I had that big why, that necessity to make it. Jana, like you said, you were in Indiana, but to really expand to the scale you had, you had some driving force. Pete coming out to Franklin. So at what point do you ever feel ready to expand or scale? I mean, when we look at this, like we always think, if you're doing your business plans at the end of the year, we always say, how can we do more transactions, right? But when does it ever enter into your mind like, hey, and I know the EXP model is a fabulous model to expand. It's set up very friendly for that. But do you ever feel ready, or have you always had that little bit of like, can I do it? Like, can I really do this? I mean, I know that's what we are as salespeople, but I know I've had fear in my life. I've just had to put it behind me and just keep going. So let's talk about what that looks like in your business, and at what point in your business did you feel like you were ready to expand and do things on a grander scale, or did you just keep going no matter what? That's a tough question, huh?
Well, I had leveraged myself out because I was actually a regional director for Keller Williams. And so my job, right, when I was that regional director, was to be gone and away from my team day in and day out. So I was kind of honestly bored a little bit with listing and selling, and I had individually leveraged myself out. I stopped working with buyers altogether and just did listings. And every time I leveraged myself out of a position, I found that I did it better and our team grew. And every time I added people, our team grew. So Pete is right. It doesn't matter the size of the team. Some of my best years were a very small team where we all were very specialized and focused and just hired very well. So it's not the size of the team that really mattered. But for me, I think I got tired of doing certain jobs, right? Like I got tired of working with buyers. So I thought, you know what? I want to focus on listings. So the moment I stepped out of working with buyers and just focused on listings, I think I went from 20 to 50 listings within 3 months' time. And that's the power of focus. And that was and so what happens there is you put more signs in the yard, you get more yard signs, you get, more calls. And then I needed more buyer agents. I think I had maybe one or two. A pointer is never hire just one person to replace you. You always need two. So like would usually had two buyer agents in the beginning versus just one, because if that person got tired or they were too busy or they just quit, I didn't want that job back. Right. So I would always hire two. Same way with when eventually I got tired of going on listing appointments. And I remember sitting at a kitchen table and thinking, if I have to do this one more time, setting here, I'd be like, please don't list tonight. Can I come back tomorrow? Because I'm exhausted, But I just remember knowing when I had had enough of that particular role. And maybe I wasn't doing it very well because I was wore out. I was tired. And so if my passion was gone, I found that I just wasn't performing as well. So then I replaced myself with another listing specialist, right? Actually, I grabbed two because I found one couldn't replace me. So I had to get two so that I could not have my business go backwards. So then when I just led my team, that's when we went to all new levels. I mean, that took us to, because I was helping each one of them. I was hiring better versus, oh, you look good and you've got a license, come onto my team. So I've made those mistakes. But, when I was able to really just lead and manage them and help, and then I was able to focus on our lead generation and what that looked like, and how to convert better, and just a better overall leader, then that's when I kept having my huge growth levels. For me to go to another state was another experience of, I'm tired of living in the cold. I just bought a house in Naples, Florida because it's beautiful here. I wanted to get away. I wanted a little bit of a sabbatical from the grind of my home and whatnot. And so I really had no desire. Then I got my license just for my own personal use. Next thing I know, I'm like, okay, I can do this. And so I started a team there. So, and then I reversed my time. I spend majority of my time now, but why give up something that I worked so hard for and built? And, it's a business, and I can continue to be gone now, and that's running. But that's where the leadership piece comes in, right? That's where you have to have the systems and the tools and the lead generation that's going on, and everything has to be built and in place before you can step out into that second arena, wherever it is. And in my market, it's very different. Naples, Florida prices are different than Northwest Indiana.
Very.
So that was another culture thing for me. And I had to have certain things in place in Florida that I don't have in Indiana. Some of it I have the same, and then we work together. And so we can get into down the road. I think you were going to ask some of the things that we do on both sides, but
well, I love how you said hire two people to replace you. I mean, those are golden nuggets. Putting the right people in place is key on any scalability. Absolutely. And one thing I've always stayed with is hire your weaknesses, which is what you did. And I love also when you said, I mean, to be in this business 20, 30 years, I mean, even 10 plus years, there are burnout times. It's a hard business to stay at this level at all times. And when you can take a seat back and restructure, but still keep pushing forward is very admirable. So I love all that. As we're talking about the scalability, and I'll turn it over to Leigh or Pete. How have you been successful in building that trust in your branding and in your messaging, whether it's in your local area as you have expanded, or as Pete, when you've moved to Franklin? I know when you came on, you had me even saying your brand, Pete Knows Luxury. My joke to him is Pete Knows Nashville now. So, but how have you been able to do that? Because the messaging and still keeping intact what you've built as you've expanded is crucial.
Yeah, Leigh, why don't you take that first? We'll go beauty for age and.
So I think for me that keeping that brand, the message there probably for me is obviously things do work slightly different here and we state differently. So I had a team within a franchise model. When that I started out in Remax as well originally, and then they sold that and they bought another franchise, but it's just an Australian only franchise, which was an elite sort of Western Australian franchise, Acton, and I built a team under that. Started the same as Jana said. It's admin first, so had that, and then buyer's agent that built it up. They got bought out by a bigger national brand. And that was what sort of hit me, was because there was no personal branding under that one. It was like, I have to jump ship now so that I keep my brand, because otherwise I'm just going to disappear, So that was the big move for me, to then get my diploma and go and set up myself and become part of EXP, where I could build that brand, but make sure that I kept my brand, my name, and went out there and built it so that people knew who I was, where I was, and kept that strong brand, that I'll never give up my personal brand. And so for me, that's how I kept that going. And now with using the platform of EXP gives me that ability to build a team in a different way, where they are under the EXP, but I keep my brand really, really strong, if that makes sense.
Yes, I love it. So you let the people that you were building with keep their brand as well, but is that correct? Or
no, well, some of this, because of the licensing arrangements here, so some will come with me under my brand. So they are with me under my brand. In other areas, they are an EXP agent, and they are branded EXP. So we have that two leverage. So I look after them, I lead them, I mentor them, but they are EXP agents. Just because of our licensing in here and how it works differently, and taking on that, it means that you literally wouldn't be able to use the EXP platform as efficiently, because you'd be taking on all the things that you sign up to EXP for, to look after all your administrative stuff. But I have within me building my team, so that build under my brand, but other ones choose to be. But we are looking at different licensing arrangements, and so I have probably 3 different ones actually. There's the LSR team / EXP Luxury, EXP, then just the EXP, and then everybody under then my brand, Leigh Smith Realty, that work with me alongside me, in the team structure similar to the US.
Yes. And for all the listeners out there, you know, there are many ways to build a team. And that's why I love hearing the different perspectives of some. I know team leaders that don't care about, that's why I asked you that, Leigh, that necessarily care that everybody's branded under them. They care more about giving out the leads and, you know, they're a lead generator team. I have others that are more the traditional teams. I mean, there's different ways to do this, and especially when you look at a model like EXP. All right, Pete, I know you have so much to say in this category.
Well, I think it's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Teams are evolving right now, so don't get stuck in a team concept. I think the whole team outlook in real estate is really starting to evolve, and you have to get out in front of it. And what I mean by that is, you know, there's agents who want their name in lights, and there's agents who want to be connected to people who have their name in lights. So you have to find those types of agents. But everybody made really good points. Before you start a team, step number one is you have to get a right-hand person, an admin who can do all the things you don't want to do, so you can do the things that you want to do really well. That will give you your time back. Time is the greatest asset you can have. Then you can start building based on how many listings you have or how much business you have, building a team of like-minded people who want to come on and work with you and connect with you and who are committed like you. They're not going to be you. You have to be a leader and you have to kind of guide them. It may be times where you hold them accountable, you keep them pumped up. You know, real estate right now is kind of grindy, and it's a challenging business, but it can be done at a high level if you're committed to it. So you have to find people who are really committed and will show up, number one. Number two, when it comes to branding, keep it simple. You know, the brain can only remember two brands typically for any type of business. So you want to have a really clean look. You want to have a really good name, good catchphrase. I would always try to have your name in there. It's not an ego thing, you guys. It's more to connect with people and to get your message across. EXP Luxury and the EXP Luxury Marketing Portal has done a great job of that with LuxVT, and they can even do a brand refresh for you for, you know, a very minimal cost that will take your brand to the next level, because a lot of it is perception. And when you have the right perception where people see you and you're branding consistently, they're going to follow you and they're going to keep you in mind. Like I was always taught, you want to be one of those two brands that they remember when they need you, right? So if I said soft drinks, majority of the people would say Coke and Pepsi. If I said athletic shoes, majority of the people would say Nike and Adidas, because they do consistent branding and it's straight to the point. It should never be more than 3 words. It should never be, the tagline should be never be more than 4 words. You have to have consistency with the color scheme, and you have to be consistent with your messaging. And the messaging should be some kind of call to action. You know, if the herd of people in luxury real estate are going left, don't be afraid to go right. Yes. And if they're all going right, then go left. You know, be different. Offer different things for people. Just because they have a luxury asset that they're trying to sell doesn't mean they don't want some kind of call to action or a different way to approach it. And I think that's really, really important when it comes to branding. So if you're looking to brand into luxury, step number one, definitely you and your team, if you haven't built it yet, join the EXP Luxury. It's a no-brainer. It's luxury in a box, right? You get Carrie Zire, who's always on fire. You get all these other people who poured into it, and it will lead the way for you. It will solve a lot of your problems instantaneously. It'll get you on the right track and elevate your whole business moving forward, number one. Number two is make sure you have the right messaging and the right brand, and we'll help you do that also. Number three, if you want to start a team, assess your business, see how much business you actually have going, and the team is there to take a lot of the heavy lifting off of you, where you give them also opportunities, so it's a win-win.
I love it. Pete, wow, mic drop. You know, one of my hashtags I put out all the time is dare to be different. And I love what you said, to not go with the herd. I tell my kids that all the time. I said, if the crowd's going this way, it's okay to sometimes go this way. I mean, that's where it may seem like, hey, you are, but like you said, you stand out, you're memorable. You are the Nike, you are the Adidas, you are the Pete Knows Luxury, right? So I love that. Great advice. Some of the harder parts in the business is systems. You're as good as the system you run. So as we're talking about that expansion into different areas or expansion in your own city, that could be meaning that, I look here, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. We have Middle Tennessee. You can expand outside your own area without crossing borders. But in order to do that, the systems have to be in place. Now, this is for anyone listening, whether you're with EXP or with other companies. I can speak personally from being at EXP. They make our systems easier for agents to streamline. I think, back in the day when I was part of a franchise, wanting to go into a different state was daunting, because it was like, how do I make it work? It was more expensive. It was, twice my expenses.
Right.
But if you had one expense, which is how EXP did, we have one Sky Slope, one CRM, all of these things. Now expansion doesn't seem so daunting. So I want to talk about, truly, as this is to me the guts of the business. This is the engine of the business, is your systems. And I know Jana's already touched on the leadership side of it. Do you all have something to say to that? As you've gone through these growing pains, you have built those. Some you've had to scale back, some you've had to scale up. But what did that look like in your systems, and what maybe is a secret sauce that has worked, or what has not worked?
Well, I'll just touch on the whole EXP thing. When I'm coming up on 7 years with EXP, and when I initially did go in 2 different markets, I was paying 2 sets of fees to everything. So in a lot of these companies, whether it's, I'll use Keller Williams as an example. Had I still been with them, I would have been paying a cap in one market center and a cap in another, and then they belong to 2 different regions, so there would have been 2 different that. So for us to be able to pay one cap, one system, everything toggles back and forth between the 2 states, everything is streamlined. That is that's a savings in itself, and a team lead can make a lot of money. Same way with the team members too. So I didn't even know that, to be honest with you, when I joined EXP, that it was one cap. I saw the value in EXP before I even knew that. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a no-brainer. So, so the model is important. I think, go back a little bit, when they have to decide what kind of model they're going to run. And so you really need to study. There's a lot, like Pete said, there's a lot of different teams out there, and a lot of them are run either a specialist or a generalist model. So really pay attention to that. And then you have to have a value proposition. You can't just call yourself a team and then not have anything to give, these people that are going to be on your team. And I think we even had a question like, what else can you offer them? Well, for me, I think it's not just about the leads. It is about the leadership. It is about those systems. And it's about, a brand that's already established and in place, and you're jumping in and getting this gift, and the training and the experience and just everything. So I would say, pay attention to your value proposition. As a leader, I'm always looking at mine and thinks, what can I do better? What can I tweak? What can I add? So when I joined EXP, honestly, that was an improvement. That was adding value for my team members, because my team members wouldn't have been able to have a stock account. They wouldn't have been able to have revenue share opportunities. They wouldn't have been able to have, the exposure that we have. The EXP luxury exposure in itself, is like, so there is so much that just, I think that team lead has a value proposition, and then the company that you're with has a value proposition. So it's a double stack. And so you have to look at that. And so, if we have people that are out there and they're building a team, maybe you're not in the right umbrella that even allows you. I mean, I've been with companies before that put a ceiling of achievement on me as a leader, and I couldn't really grow and stretch because their umbrella didn't allow that. Right. So Anyway,
I love that, Jana. You know, coming from, I owned a Remax as well. I think we've all been Remax.
Not me.
I owned, oh, not you. Okay. Well, I owned a Remax, and you know, I was the broker owner. I had agents under me. What I do love about EXP is those agents can win, because if you are the broker owner, of course, the agents, you know, you are getting part of their commission that funnels up to the broker owner. At EXP, you can be your own broker owner. That's how I look at it. And the advantage to that for your agents or your team members that you have with you is they get all the advantages as well. They can do the revenue share. They have, like you said, all these things. So I'm very passionate about it because I've seen it from the other end, but I also see all the benefits from this side as you build a team. So you know, that's my take on those benefits. Anything, Leigh, Pete, when it comes to system support?
I think the systems do, and for us, it's in Australia and in New Zealand, EXP offers something completely different. So, and it's we don't have the Keller Williams and all the ones that you have there. So you've either got to be a franchise or a boutique agent by yourself. And when I left a big franchise, that was where I was at. Do I go and be the equivalent of a broker owner? So it's and all by myself, you know. For me, EXP and the gave me the systems where I don't have to do those things that we're talking about, because my strength is in listing and selling. So if I'm going to be an owner sitting, doing my HR, doing, you know, all the administrative things, and not being able to offer any team members some bigger and better, which I can do now, you know, with the revenue share, the stock options and things, and the global exposure. So for me, it's been, and joining EXP Luxury, well, as soon as it was launched in Australia, and obviously I was the first one that jumped on, was that how to elevate my business and my brand and really be seen, and then mix and meet with people like yourselves and the masterminds and the growth and the next level of growth that I've had, and how we are going to take that system and we can do it all over Australia and now and in New Zealand. So we're going cross borders, cross countries, and we can build that team and we can really leverage, because sometimes we can feel like, even though we're a big island, we can feel like this little island isolated the other side of the world.
Yes, I know. Excellent insight. I love it. Well, you know, I know when people are listening to us talk about building these big teams and the success and all that goes into it, you know, what happens with our mindset, you know, as people say, you know, I see busy people, but then I see busy people that are actually results. So how, you look at these big teams, these big multi-state teams, multi-countries, how do you not lose yourself in the business? How do you keep your mindset on point to keep that business going and really not get overwhelmed? You know, have you all experienced that? Has that been a challenge? You know, as what have I done? and what are some of the takeaways on that?
Yeah, I think you have to be pretty disciplined. I think everybody on this Zoom at some point has experienced either burnout or frustration or what. We're human, right? Yeah. But just remember one thing: when you have a division behind you like EXP Luxury, you can do anything because everything is there at your fingertips. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You know, all the R&D has been done, you know, rip off and duplicate. So we have all the systems, we have everything in place. Don't overwhelm yourself. I see a lot of people get overwhelmed. There's times I get overwhelmed and Jana talks me off the ledge, but you have to flip the switch. You know, there's times you have to flip the switch because if you don't change your energy and your vibration and your positivity, if you're negative all the time, you're going to get more of that. So things are definitely changing. The market's always going to be in flux. It's just what you make of it and what you believe about it. You know, there's people who constantly live in a state of negativity or things aren't going to happen. and they're very pessimistic. There's other people who are completely optimistic all the time. And then there's people who are realistic, who are looking at today. They're not worrying about yesterday. They're not worrying about tomorrow. They're guiding where their business is going. You're not going to be able to control other people. The only person you can control is yourself. So, stick to the plans. And the plans is the best acronym out there. P stands for prospecting. Beef up your prospecting. That could be going to events, holding multiple open houses every week, calling around just listeds, just solds, because if something comes up and it's listed within 30 days, within a mile radius of that house, something else will get listed. That's a fact. So P stands for prospecting. L in the plan acronym stands for lead generation. Be really good, not at just generating leads, but at converting leads. You have to be really good at converting leads. The leads then lead to appointments. As you qualify people, you get them into appointments. Appointments turn into negotiations, and negotiations turn into sales, into systems, right? So that's plans. Those are the only things in real estate that make you money. It's not postcards. It's not newsletters. It's not videos. It's not anything else. All those complement that acronym. So if you stick to the plan, or plans, I like to call it, you'll be successful. But it doesn't happen overnight. Like I always say, Jana was an overnight success. It only took her 11,000 nights, right? You have to do it consistently. This is a business of repetition. That's how you learn this business, by doing things and being repetitive on how it's done, whether it's negotiating. And I guarantee you, Leigh, Jana, and I, none of us are satisfied with our systems. We're always trying to improve our systems because, leaders lead. Leaders want to keep educating themselves. They want to be in a better position. They want to save more time. They want to do more business. This is just a fact of this industry. You're self-employed, right? Which means you're broke until you sell something, right? You eat what you kill, basically. I hate to say it like that, but that's key. And
I've always said it like that.
People ask me all the time. They sit there and they say, okay, so if I'm in an area where eXp Luxury is not that well known, well, we will be. So are you an entrepreneur, an innovator, or are you a follower, right? And it's okay to be either, but somebody is going to lead the way there, and they're going to get the treasure while you're sitting on the sidelines and fear is controlling what direction you're going. I'm telling you, everybody on this call should bite the bullet, sign up for eXp Luxury today, and start a new life. You can still have your production where you are, but it will elevate your production. It will elevate your price point. It will elevate the professional fees that you receive, you guys. And I'm telling you, I've experienced it. It's way more fun to sell a house for 5, 10, 20 million bucks than it is for 50,000. And to be honest with you, the house for 50,000 takes 10 times more work, and you get paid 1/20th or 2/2000th of what you would get. So why are we banging our head against the wall? Everything is here for you. We will help you. You have plenty of ways to plug in and get this done and to move forward. You have to look in the mirror and say, am I committed to doing it? Do I believe in myself enough to do it? Because if you believe it, you'll achieve it.
Woo! I love it.
And I think on that, I think you're spot on, because there are those times, like you said earlier, when you asked about how you have, it doesn't matter how good we are, or you do get those moments because of the burnout and because of the long hours and the, relentlessly just going and going and going, that you can feel sometimes like, can I do this? And you start to question yourself and how you get to the next level. But being part of a group of people, eXp Luxury, it gets you going, right? Okay, we listen to the next mastermind, and everybody has been through that. It doesn't matter when you started, where you're at. Everybody will go through seasons of that.
I love what you said, Leigh. And that is the beauty of having a group of like-minded people. We're a big company, but I feel like we're we're really a small company when it would come together like this, and we're able to share stories and really be authentic in our journey. You know, I always say I have failed forward. I've just kept going. I mean, there's been times that I've had horrible years. There's been times I've honestly said, I can't even believe I'm in real estate. I don't even know if I like it. And I honestly love it without everything I have. But when you're getting your face kicked in, sometimes you're like, what? But it's everything we've all, I think, collectively saying is we keep going, we come together, and that mindset is powerful. And I love, you know, what you said, Pete, with the plans. You know, if you stick to the plans and how you broke it down, you know, it does get there. We do have one question. How's the best practice? What is the best practice in attracting agents? I'm assuming that is as in building a team. I know I'll turn it over to one of them. My answer is, you start that attraction when we've all talked about the marketing. I think it was Pete when he went in strong with having that identifiable way. I mean, you know, I hope when people think of Carrie Zeier and real estate, they think of luxury real estate. You know, that is what I've tried to brand for years, and that's my brand. So I think if you're very specific in your marketing and your social media, then you do start attracting. And of course, it does come down to your results and what you're building as a team. But to me, that is the very first way to begin in attracting agents. Anybody else on that?
Yeah, and keep in mind too, guys, I just want to add on that. You can always go down, you can't go up. And what I mean by that is I'm still selling condominiums and things for $500,000-600,000. But I'm also selling houses for 15 and 20 million, right? So you are in the sandbox that you play in, right? The great thing about eXp Luxury and all of us, we're all committed and we all collaborate and we all share, right? We're not going to hold back. That's the greatest part about our company, and the power of it is it all comes from contribution and collaboration, right? Because we're all owners of the company. So there's an underlying factor there. But when it comes to getting into luxury, we have the path, and it's lit to get you going. All right. So you just have to take that first step and just do it. You know, too many people overthink things because they're fearful. You got to just do it and just set your mind to it, get the right mindset and go do it.
I love it.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
If you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. And you're going to kick yourself saying, I could have done that. You guys, I went into a market I didn't even know. I started marketing 9 months ago, 10 months ago, and I took ownership of that market. Right now I have 2 $5 million listings in there, and I'm growing in that market. And I've already got, off my proven luxury marketing plan, a 2,017% ROI. So if you can ever get an ROI like that in that short of a period, you're doing something right. And it's just setting your mindset. It does not have to be expensive. You just have to be in mind. You know, out of sight, out of mind. That's a true saying. You have to be in mind. So when people think of luxury real estate, they think of you. And it all comes down to branding. It comes down to what we're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pete. Jana, any final words as we're closing out?
I don't know if you want me to go on the mindset, the recruiting, or the.
Yeah, I know. We have so many.
I was like,
we're ending it with, you know, just our last remarks on, you know, we've gone through the mindset, the marketing, building the team, attracting the team. There's so much when you talk about scalability. So, you know, either you can end with, if you had to tell your younger self one thing that you have learned over all these, 25 plus years, that our listeners can take away, what would it be? Because it does seem daunting, but once you're in the fight, I think it's just, you know, and you've got the right systems in place, that's when, to me, the fun begins. You're building something that lasts, and that foundation can be so strong when you're building it the correct way.
Well, the systems are always going to change, just so you know. The model will change some too. The value proposition definitely is going to change. I think for me, it's a matter of still being relevant, right? Like, I just turned 60 years old. I've been doing this for, like I said, up to 29 years now. So for me, it's like, what can I do to like that is needed now, right? How can I assess it and improve upon it and build upon it and improve that value proposition for myself and also my team members? So it's constantly looking at that. The mindset for sure, like I've wanted to quit many times. I always say it's not the year, it's the career. And so I'm in this for the long haul and I've done it and built it. I would be a fool to walk away now. And so if I need something or I'm, not passionate about something, then that's when I try to replace or, refuel myself and get that energy back so that I can lead and continue to build this team, and not necessarily by growth, but by volume and helping more people. Right. So you win in life by helping others. I would say, figure out what kind of model you're going to run and the type of people you want on it. For me, I know my missing person, so to speak. I know what my team members have to have. Like I'm not just about the production. I want them to care. I want them to have integrity. Like there's certain things that I'm going to have a requirement. Once you define what type of model you're going to run, then you know what those people look like. And they can come into your life, and sometimes you may not think you're looking for a team member, but you're always hiring a team member. If someone talented walks into your life, you're going to figure out where to put them and how to work with them and collaborate with them, and where it's a win for both parties. Biggest mistake I probably ever made is when I made it for a win for them and not a win for me. It's got to be a win-win. And, there's been times where, if you're giving too much of your commissions away or there's just this battle and it's just not worth it. So from the start, you have to know that this is going to work for both of you. They're going to win by being on your team, and you're going to win by them being on the team. So, it's fun. To me, it's fun. It's a challenge every day. I still challenge myself, and I'm growing, and I learn from my mistakes and I get back up. I don't sweat them out too long. Like it's like move on next, type thing. And team members, just so you know, team members will always come and go, but your team will live on forever. And so that's where your branding needs to be. It is about that brand, and you're going to hire to that.
I love it. Well, I want to thank each of you. Leigh Smith, Australia. It's probably about 2 a.m. now. And yes, you are one of our shining lights. You are an ambassador for eXp Luxury, and we're so proud to have you. And thank you for all that you're doing and expanding our luxury presence all over the world. So thank you, Leigh. Jana, Pete, our luxury council. I can always depend on you guys. You pour out so much of your heart and your information, and really all of your experiences. And that's the beauty of eXp. We're here to support each other. If we did not get to answer your question, please feel free to reach out on Instagram to any of us, DM us, put it in the messages. We would love to help you grow, to watch you grow, whether you're eXp or not. That's what I love about, we are still one big real estate community. And I love to see us grow, not only in the United States, but as Leigh's with us in Australia. I had meetings today in India online. So we are one global real estate community. I can't thank you all enough. Thank you for Luxury Legends and Leaders. And we will see you next month.
Thank you.
Take care.